So we are just over halfway on our drive from Ait Ben Haddou to the Merzouga desert, where we're going to go for the desert camp tonight. And we just randomly pulled off to grab some food from a roadside stall where they were actively grilling chicken. And Dave, I think, just went up and said two. Just motioned two. And so we had no idea 100% what we were going to be getting. We knew it was going to be chicken more than likely. They ended up giving us these pitas. The pita has chicken and French fries in it. Not bad. I mean, it's good, but yeah, there's like no sauce in it, so it's a little dry, but I'm happy to be eating because I don't know what time we're going to be having dinner tonight, so. So yesterday we drove about six and a half hours from Ait Ben Haddou to the Merzouga desert, where we were going for our desert luxury camp. The camp that we went to is called Sirocco Luxury Camp, and it was pretty luxurious, I'd say. The drive down was definitely long. Dave did all of the driving, and I did a little bit of the napping. It was just a really beautiful, nice drive. So obviously we drove ourselves to the desert as opposed to going with a tour. We weren't sure if it was going to be difficult to find the meeting spot, but it was actually pretty simple. You basically just drive through a very flat landscape for maybe 20 minutes, and then you come up to a small town, and it's a bunch of hotels and hostels, and the signs were pretty well marked. We had no problem finding our meetup spot, which is at a hotel, and we were able to just park our car, and then we just waited a little bit because we decided not to take camels to the desert camp. So we did it was actually the free transfer, which was just by 4x4, which was actually a lot of fun. The guy drove like crazy, and at times it felt like you were on a roller coaster. There's definitely a lot of stomach flipping moments where you also thought that maybe the van was also going to be flipping, but I had a very good time. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Plus the drive is like 15 minutes to the camp, where the camel ride is.
Yeah, the camel ride, they said it was like an hour and a half. Maybe. It felt like they were gone a lot, like it took them a lot longer to get to where we were, because that was nice too, because we were the only ones who didn't take the camels. We were the first ones at the camp, so we had time to kind of look around, take some photos without people around, and then we just basically dropped our stuff off in our tent and then walked out into the dunes to watch the sunset. And so it was beautiful, and it was quiet. Yeah, it was just really, really nice. We have made it to Sirocco Luxury Camp. You can see it just over this dune here. That's where we're going to be staying tonight. And now we're currently deciding which dune we're going to climb to go wait for sunset. So the camp itself was pretty luxurious, I guess you could say. It is a desert luxury camp, so while it was camping, it wasn't in, traditional Canadian camping tents. The tents themselves were a bamboo structure with like fabric wrapped around the inside and outside, so you couldn't actually see any of the actual structure itself. Inside, the entire floor was carpeted. There was 2 beds in our room. I think one was a queen, and then like a little single bed. There was like electricity, but there was also plumbing inside the tents, which we thought was pretty interesting. So you could have a shower, there was hot water, and there's also a full-on toilet. That was also the only, I think, downside of the tent and camp experience, was the smell that came from the toilets was a little bit, it was not great. It wasn't terrible. It didn't like ruin the experience at all. And I mean, the fact that there was plumbing in the tents at all to begin with was pretty great. So I was not mad about that. You could definitely tell, like you could smell it within the tent, but you did get a little bit nose blind to it, and you didn't notice it after a while unless you were actually in the part of the tent that had the actual toilet. It wasn't a big deal, and I think it's just something that you would just be fine with because of the fact that you're literally in the middle of the desert and there's flush toilets. So it's pretty incredible just in itself. also the beds were so comfortable. It was probably the best sleep that both of us had this entire trip so far, and the pillows were incredible, and we just both had a great sleep. And I think it got down to around 7 degrees overnight, so it was cold. Like if you had a limb out of the bed, it was cold. There was just such great like comforters and blankets that once you were wrapped up inside, it was just so cozy and so warm. And yeah, it was definitely the best sleep that I've had so far on this trip. So when we first arrived, we dropped our bags in our tent and then immediately went out into the desert to, climb the sand dunes and watch the sun go down. And then when we came back to the camp, they had like a welcome set up for us with tea and some, I think, peanuts and like little biscuits. And so as soon as we came back, they immediately poured us some tea. I think it was just like a plain black tea, which was kind of nice because even though the popular tea in Morocco is mint tea, neither of us are a huge fan of it, so it was nice to have the black tea. And then we just kind of hung out on these little like lounge areas out in the middle of the camp while we waited for dinner to be prepared. And then we all went into the dining tent for dinner. It was an extra fee on top of what we paid to stay at the camp. I think it was around
maybe $10 per person.
Yeah, it was around $10 per person, but it was 4 courses. It started with a Moroccan salad. So it was lettuce, there was some grilled vegetables in it, there was apple on it, and a little bit of balsamic. It was very good. We both enjoyed it. And then the next course, which we thought was potentially the main course, so we both ate the whole damn thing because we weren't sure. It was eggplant and tomatoes with melted cheese, and it came out in a tagine, and then there was bread so you could scoop it onto the bread. It was probably my favorite part of the meal. And then this next course was a chicken with potatoes and onions, again in a tagine. There was so much food. I was really full and it was really good. Finally, dessert was a fruit salad. So it had apples, oranges, bananas, pomegranate. Very good, very, very good. We were fully stuffed. And then while we were all finishing up the last bit of dinner, the hosts had gone out and started a campfire. And so after dinner, we all went to the campfire and they played some music. They tried to get us to play some music. It was actually interesting because they brought the drums over first and they leaned them against the fire pit, I guess to warm the tops of them so they'd be, I don't know, maybe easier to play, or maybe it affects the sounds. And then, yeah, they played a few songs for us. And then they tried to get Dave and I to play some songs. They kept asking us to play Canadian songs. It was kind of embarrassing, but they came around and handed us drums and tried to show us beats and how to play. And they're like, it's easy. And it's not easy. You're playing the exact same beat that they are, but it sounds nothing like the beat that they're playing at the same time. But yeah, it was good fun. And then we got up and walked out into the dunes a little bit and just looked up at the stars. It's a pretty starry night. Yeah, it was just a really nice way to end the evening.